Back with another Toronto real estate market update, this time the first one of 2024, which is already turning out to be a very interesting year with just 2 weeks in. With the holidays behind us, we're starting to hear, murmurs of possible rate cuts from the Bank of Canada. We're seeing multiple offers in certain areas for certain property types, and we're also seeing some price corrections, major price corrections, if you will, in certain areas for certain property types. So in this video, I will go over everything you need to know about the current state of the Toronto real estate market, as well as my predictions on what 2024 is going to bring us. So make sure you stay tuned till the very end. If you're new to this channel, my name is Sitzer from Teamster Real Estate. I help clients with buying, selling, leasing, investing, pre-construction, and just all areas of real estate. So if you find any value in this video, please go ahead and subscribe. So let's actually start by getting into the stats that came out from TREB, the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, for last month, the month of December. That kind of gave us a snapshot of last year. And once again, as I do in all my market update videos, just a preface, the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, or TREB as it's called, encompasses not just the city of Toronto, but also a lot of neighboring cities and districts like Halton Region, you've got Peel Region, Durham Region. So it's all encompassing. It's an average snapshot, high-level overview, if you will, of everything. Okay, so starting with the average price in December of 2023, clocked in at $1,084,000, which was actually about 3.2% year-over-year increase from December of 2022. The number of sales were at 3,444, new listings at 3,886. Very interesting number. I'll get to that in a second. Active listings sitting at 10,370. Now, obviously, 2023 was the year of the rate hikes. We saw a lot of not just rate hikes, but, rate hikes started back in 2022, the second quarter. But what we really started to notice in 2023 was a complete slowdown of the market, minus May of 2023, if you will, where we started seeing a major uptick just based on the news that Bank of Canada was doing rate holds. But 2023 was really a quiet year overall. And unaffordability was at an all-time high because borrowing costs were out of whack, and people just couldn't afford to qualify at the rates that because of the Bank of Canada's rate hikes. So it just put a lot of buyers not just on the sidelines, but created a lot of uncertainty. It takes away confidence. And when buyers are not confident, buyers are not going to buy. And the same goes for sellers. When sellers start to feel lack of confidence in the market and feel like they're not going to get the price they should, they will also not list unless they absolutely have to. Overall, the Toronto real estate market in 2023 was quite resilient. A lot of people were expecting prices to crash like crazy and the market to crash overall, but we didn't really see much of that, again, because of the fact that supply was very low. If you look at the new listings in December, I'll take December as an example because this is the latest data that we have. I'm surprised by seeing the number of new listings being that low because just the month prior, and this is my own data that I collect month over month. Every single month I've been collecting it for the last few years. If you look at the data from November of 2023, we had 16,759 active listings. November of 2023, just a month prior. Our overall months of inventory, which gives us the absorption rate of the real estate market, if no new listings were to come on the market, how many months it would take or how long it would take for the existing inventory to sell. It gives us a very good idea of where the market is, whether we're in a buyer's market, seller's market, or a balanced market. And, even going up to November, we were sitting at 4 months of inventory, which means we were pretty much kind of in a buyer's market territory. In December, however, if you notice, the number of active listings went down dramatically, right? We're sitting at 10,370 active listings, and new listings down to 3,886. So clearly a lot of sellers decided, you know what, I'm not going to list right now because this is clearly not the right time. Obviously, activity in the winter months, especially in December, is quite low. It's Christmas time. It's the holiday season. People are going away. There's not a lot of buying activity going on. Funny enough, I actually sold a couple of houses in December because I had buyers who were in the market at that time, wanted to take advantage of the market, and another buyer who, just needed to buy. However, we do typically see a sharp decline in activity. But having said that, just given the state of the market and, a lot of talks from people saying how we're going to see an oversupply of listings and a market crash, we didn't really see that because, again, evident by the number of listings being quite low. The sales to new listings ratio was higher than it was in November where in November it was about 40%, and in December we saw an 88% sales to new listings ratio. So not overly surprising. I was actually expecting prices to either remain stagnant or go down, but month over month prices actually ticked up a little bit. So months of inventory for the month of December right now is sitting at 3, which puts us in a sort of a seller's market territory. Again, depending on where you're sitting, this is an overall snapshot again. But as you can see, the peak of 2023 was really May, where prices went up to 1,196,000. And since then, prices were kind of trending lower. And then in September, because of the fall and seasonality, picked up again and then trended downwards in November and then slightly back up again in December. Now, the Bank of Canada did do a rate hold in their December announcement, which again starts to bring people a little bit of confidence. It didn't really have a much dramatic change, again, given the fact that it's December, not a whole lot of activity going on to begin with. Buyers were mostly on the sidelines. However, inventory was still very much low, as we could see from the data here. Now, although activity was quite low in December, we're starting to now, in January of 2024, we're starting to see an uptick in the number of showings. We're starting to see an uptick in the number of offers. We have properties where we've seen multiple offers in certain areas. You've got areas in Durham region like Ajax and Whitby where properties are a lot less price point than in Toronto. So you have a slightly bigger buyer pool, and we're seeing multiple offers on properties selling pretty quickly. Now, keep in mind that not every property sells for multiple offers. For a property to really sell quick and get multiple offers, there's got to be a few factors, right? It has to, show really well, be in a neighborhood that's desirable, and it also has to be priced really well. When you have all those three factors combined, it really draws a lot of buyers into a property. And if a property shows really well and you get a lot of people in through the door and it's priced well, it will sell quickly. I've had 3 buyers over the last week contact me wanting to resume their search who were on the sidelines last year. And so I'm starting to see more and more of that. I'm starting to get more and more text messages and phone calls from buyers who last year were on the sidelines, and now we're starting to either strike up a conversation and ask questions about the market, and a few that are wanting to actively start looking. And that tells me that buyers are starting to get their confidence back. And you don't necessarily have to see rate cuts in order for people and buyers specifically to start coming out and start, house shopping. Oftentimes, a lot of the buyers' confidence just comes from the news and the fact that the Bank of Canada is deciding to do rate hold. I think when the rates do go down and when there is an actual rate cut, we're going to see a lot more activity and possibly go into a buyer frenzy at that time. Even speaking to a lot of my mortgage partners that I work closely with, they're starting to see a lot more mortgage applications go through. They're pretty busy already in the second week of January, which again gives me this inclination that buyers are feeling very optimistic and they're starting to resume their search again. Now, having said that, there are still homes out there, properties out there that are going through major corrections. Now, these are properties specifically that were just outside the Toronto region, in the outskirts, if you will, areas like Brampton, even areas in Durham region, Halton region, where prices were heavily inflated during the pandemic, and that are selling for a lot less right now than they were in 2021 and the beginning of 2022. For example, there was a property that recently sold in Brampton that was sold in 2021 and just sold again last week for $640,000 under what it sold for in 2021. Now, that's obviously an extreme case, but we are seeing certain properties in certain neighborhoods that were, again, heavily inflated during pandemic times that are now going through some major corrections. The assignment market as well is also quite oversupplied still going into 2024. We're still seeing a lot of buyers who purchased pre-construction back in 2020, 2021, and even going back a little bit into 2019 timeframe when buyers bought pre-construction with usually no intention to close, and who are now coming up for occupancy and closing, who are just not able to financially qualify, or again, who never intended to close to begin with, are now in distressed positions that are either selling at the original price and in some cases even selling below the asking price. And I'm pretty much dealing with assignment sales on a daily basis, weekly basis, where I'm getting sellers sending assignments they want to sell. And I also have a large database of buyers that are constantly looking for opportunities. So these properties are sold exclusively off market. They don't hit the MLS, and they're sold exclusively through assignment agents off market. So if you're looking for assignment deals, feel free to send me an email or book a strategy call with me with the link in the description, and I'd be happy to go over and see if assignments make sense for you. Now, before I get into my predictions, I want to cover an article that was quoting Phil Soper, who is the president of Royal LePage, who historically has been pretty accurate with his predictions, and the Royal LePage survey that comes out every year, and he's predicting the market to rebound in 2024. I'm going to cover that very quickly. In a nutshell, Phil basically predicts that 2024 first quarter, we're going to start seeing an uptick in activity from buyers, just gaining confidence back with the news of not just rate cuts, but also rate holds. He goes on to say that once the bank does rate cuts, though, Canada's fundamentally shortage of supply will put upward pressure on prices as sideline buyers race back into the market in droves. Even a 25 basis point cut could spur a flurry of activity akin to the springtime rush seen in 2023. That was actually Karen Yavlevsky, the chief operating officer at Royal LePage, not Phil Soper. However, they share the same sentiment. Royal LePage predicting home prices to go up about 5.5% in the Q4 of 2024, which I think is a pretty modest and accurate prediction. I also feel that prices will go up about 3 to 4% this year. I think we have already past the bottom of the market, back in the later half of 2023. Having said that, I still feel that this right now is a great time if you are looking to purchase a property and don't want to compete before the rate cuts start happening. So we're still seeing relatively low competition when it comes to buying properties. I personally don't feel that if you buy a property right now that the prices or the value of that home will decrease further. Quite the contrary, I think it will likely see an uptick, especially when we start seeing those rate cuts come into 2024. Now, if you'd like to know whether or not this is the right time for you to buy and sell based on your specific needs, please go ahead and click the link in the description to book a one-on-one free strategy call with me where we can chat further. Again, guys, if you found any value in this video, please go ahead and give it a like. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. Take care.